Welcome to Friday 13th YouTube channel, Metalheads. Today you're going to be watching a fantastic interview. This is with the band Riot 5. Now, I've recently just interviewed Donnie, the bassist. Donnie, thank you so much for this interview. You rock, brother. Also, I'd like to thank Atonic Fire Records for setting up this interview. Now, the album's coming out on the 12th of April. It's called Mean Streets. It's a brilliant album, folks. It's the best production this band have ever done, and the songs really do shine through. So, please enjoy this interview. Please share on social media. Give thumbs up. Please leave comments. Thanks for watching, and more great interviews coming later on this year in 2024. Stay safe, metalheads. Thanks for watching.
Oh, burger.
Burgers. Burgers in the house. How are you doing, brother?
Burger. Yeah, I was running around, man, and I was like running out of time. And I told the people at the label, I was like, I'm gonna need another hour, man. I was like running around and doing stuff. And I knew it was you, so I was like, gotta hurry, it's burger.
Well, thank you for joining me on Friday 13th YouTube channel, Donnie. This is the first interview we've actually done. Because if you remember, we tried to do an interview in Newcastle when you played in 2018, 2019, but it didn't quite happen. So,
yeah.
Finally, welcome. But it was very good to see you last year at Headbangers Open Air. Hang out with you.
That was a good one, man. I had a blast. And thank you for coming out and sometimes working with us. And I'm sure you'll work with us in the future.
So, first of all, Donnie, I'm going to welcome you to Friday 13th YouTube channel. Metalheads, we'll do an interview with Donnie from Riot 5. So, welcome to Friday 13th. First of all, Donnie, I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions, as this is the first interview I've done with you. Was the bass guitar your first instrument? And did you, what was your influences? Who inspired you?
Well, my first instrument was the flute. I'm just kidding. No, my first instrument was actually I played the drums, believe it or not, because, you know, when you're going to school and you're into rock, the coolest instrument, you know, then besides being a stage band is drums. So I played drums for a little bit, played in a band for a little bit, and then mainly guitar. Guitar was my forte. When I was growing up, my father, he was into rock music. He turned me on to Deep Purple, you know, Black Sabbath, Doobie Brothers. He liked that kind of music, and so that's where I kind of got started. And I remember picking up the guitar and learning "Smoke on the Water" and all the easy stuff. So
as we all do.
yeah, we all do. And so guitar was my main instrument, and I played in a few bands on guitar. And then switching to the bass was kind of a funny deal. Like back before there was three guitar players, like a lot of Southern rock, and now Iron Maiden's doing it. We were like, there can't be three guitars. So I said, I'll play bass. I don't care. And we'd switch off. And then I said, you know, the bass is cool because, you know, I can do a lot more with it because it is the bass. And I'm a lead bass player, like, you know, Steve Harris. I write all the music and I play like a guitar player. So it kind of stuck. So basically guitar was, but then now, as you know, I play the bass.
Okay, then. So, who's your bass influences besides Steve Harris? Who whether inspired you? Everybody else's?
My favorite ones, I mean, right off the top, you know, Harris for sure, and then I like Philip Lynott from Thin Lizzy. He was one of my favorites too because, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, but I like a bass player that is more like a leader bass player, like I tried to do with my band. Like Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy. He's a badass bass player who writes all the music. Well, most of the music. He sings. It's kind of his vibe. So that's kind of cool. Steve Harris, Iron Maiden, that's kind of his thing. He writes majority of the songs, you know, and that's his baby. So it's kind of cool. I feed off those people since I kind of do that with Riot. You know, I write a lot of songs and play that kind of bass style and stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of bass players out there that are great. You know, some of the jazz bass players and rock bass players. But those are probably two of my favorite bass players and influences.
I mean, when I listen to your bass player, you kind of remind me of Hellstar. You're following that lead guitar on the bass, and I have a lot of respect for bass players that do like lead on bass. Hellstar kind of do the same sort of thing, following the guitars, and that's not easy to do as a bass player.
No, that's why when I started on guitar, it just comes second nature. Michael show me a lick and I'll know how to do it. There's not six strings, so I have to figure it out on the four strings. But you know, that's one thing I like to do. I like to follow the guitar players instead of a lot of bass players just play the line, you know, Johnny one note. I like to follow and everything, do the fastest things I can. And that's how I've always written, you know, even when our first join with Mark, you know, he would tell me he would like the way I wrote riffs, but then he would say, along with the fast, you got to make a good song and melody. And so that's where I learned kind of writing from there. But yeah, I mean, I'm, I like being able to follow the guitar players. I did that with Alcatraz. I recorded on the last two Alcatraz records. My friend Giles hooked me up. I did the last one with Graham, and then that first one with Doogie, and that the Joe Stump guy. He would play some riffs, and I just say, just send it to me, and I'd slow it down and hear what he's doing, and then I get the bass and figure it out, and do that stuff. So I like to try to follow the guitar players as much as I can, as long as it sounds good and I'm not showing off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, awesome. So when you look back at all the Riot albums before you joined, what's your favorite album of the prior to you joining the band? Do you have a favorite?
Thundersteel, baby. No.
Yeah. I was going
Yeah,
to say
yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay. No, well, that was the first one I was on.
Yeah.
No, I grew up, in Texas, where the radio played Riot. Like, it was on the radio with everybody else. So when I heard Rock City, I was sold. I was Riot from the very beginning. I went out and bought Rock City. I went and saw them in concert with Sammy Hagar. I got their autographs. I mean, I was a fan. And then Narita came out, and Narita's probably close to one of my favorites. I mean, the iconic Fire Down Under is, but there was something about Narita that was cool too. So, but and then when Fire Down Under came out, the record label Elektra, they had a street team member that would take copies to labels and promote the band, and he knew Mark, so Mark would come down. And that's where I met Mark for the first time, and he came down. We became friends. I was friends with him 10 years before I started playing with him, so I was a big fan. I lived with him for a while in his basement in Brooklyn, and he lived with me in Texas, and we just had a great relationship, doing, fun stuff besides that. So I've always had this feeling for Riot that, like, Mark was a legend. I grew up listening to him, and then I all of a sudden got to play with him and stuff like that. So through all that, then looking back at the past, I've known him since they got Rhett Forrester. I was already sitting next to him when he got a cassette tape. What do you think about this guy? He said, it's not Guy Speranza. People are going to hate you. And then people, started liking it. They go, okay, it's not Guy, but it's a little more Southern rock singing. Same thing with Thundersteel. When they stopped the hard rock, we went to power metal. They're like, what the hell is this? And some people still think that. But one thing about Riot, they have a catalog from hell. They've had a lot of member changes, but a lot of styles, from power metal to Mike DeMeo when they were doing the kind of rainbow, Yngwie-ish guitar-driven stuff, Thundersteel, hard rock, and all that. So all the albums always have a standout album, like I love Rock City, but out of that era of Riot 1, that was probably Narita. And then, when Guy came along, Sandy and Kip came along, Fire Down Under was such a classic. So, it's hard with the old thing, but Fire Down Under and Thundersteel are the most recognized Riot records with the most sales, and that's what we try to add to the set list more than anything. But for the early days, I would probably say Narita. You know what I mean?
So what was your first band before you joined them on Thundersteel? Did you record any albums for people that don't know?
Yeah, I was in another version of Slayer. I don't know if you remember
SS Slayer.
Yeah, as a Slayer. What happened was years ago when I did meet Mark, the guy that introduced me to Mark, we used to rehearse in his garage, and he was a mutual friend. So Mark would ask him, say, hey, would these guys mind if I came in and sat in with him to keep my chops up while Riot's not on the road? And we were like, of course. So he would come in the garage, and he would play with Slayer, and we'd play Riot songs, and we play some old classics like he liked Bad Company and that kind of stuff. So we would play, which led to him joining us a few times on stage. But at that point, I was in the Texas Slayer. We recorded an album called Prepare to Die. Back in the day, it got great recognition. We did small touring. And then when we were about to put out a second one, people goes, hey, there's another Slayer in LA. They're coming out. Show No Mercy. And we're like, who's that? We were first. But long story short, we ended up, we played shows. We released our second record, Go for the Throat, and we did some shows and stuff like that. And then we did that, of course, that iconic Slayer versus Slayer, where we both played at a venue, and it was in San Antonio, and we played, and then Slayer played, and we got along with them. And it wasn't really verses or for the name or anything. It was just the promoter thought that would be neat, Slayer, special guest Slayer, But at that time, we were pretty much broken up, and I was working with Mark. We were writing. I actually wrote 4 songs on Born in America. So before I actually joined, I was working with him, and we wrote Born in America stuff. We wrote Narita stuff, Mark's solo band, which is ended up on Thundersteel. We wrote Thundersteel, Fight or Fall, all these songs. So our writing relationship came from the Slayer when he started sitting in with us, and then he would call me over and we'd start working on music. So I was in Slayer, but right after that, it went to Riot. When he called me, I got the fateful call.
I mean, Thundersteel is, I'd say it's the cult classic album. Would you agree?
Yeah, it came at a time when, I joined in the latter part of '84, although I was writing with Mark. He wanted to always, keep up with what was happening. He was very modern, like his style changed. Like, the other guitar players like Rick Ventura, they're still straight rock, Jimmy Page. Mark started listening to Priest and Yngwie, and he started picking up his guitar skills. So when I joined the band and I went out to LA, I played shows with the original lineup, Sandy and Rhett, and we started writing. We went Sign of the Crimson Storm. You can see that on YouTube with Rhett and Sandy playing. As a matter of fact, on the Japanese release, they're going to have a copy of that from the studio. Rhett, me, Sandy, and Mark, Sign of the Crimson Storm. So that's going to be kind of cool. But we started writing songs and stuff. And then after to no avail, people weren't buying into the old Born in America lineup. So Mark said, we need to move to New York. Priest, Iron Maiden, new wave of British heavy metal, they were coming up. They were popular. So he said, let's switch gears. Let's write a Fire Down Under on crack. They're just fast, And so, he knew I could write like that, And so we started writing that. And we knew coming back and having a different style of Riot, we had to really make a record that people will enjoy, because a lot of the past, they were used to the rock thing. So, we put the band together. It was great. I think that helped. We had the Bobby Jerzombeck drums, who's phenomenal, with Fate's Warning, Sebastian Bach, Halford. Now he's playing country music with George Strait, phenomenal. And then we got the amazing Tony Moore. So we got all our demos, put them together, and put Bobby on there and Tony, and we listened to Thundersteel, and we were like, wow, this is amazing. So after we did that, they shopped, and CBS Epic Records picked it up like that and started moving forward. And to this day, Thundersteel is probably the most popular record that we do now. Fire Down Under's there. A lot of people like it, but especially in Europe, Thundersteel is the one. We play the majority of that in Europe. So
I know you do, yeah. But I was going to say, I mean, all the albums you've done, like you see, you've done different styles, blues, hard rock, and then you went power metal. I mean, that Unleash the Fire was when you called yourselves Riot 5. Obviously, you wanted to keep it going for Mark's honour. You haven't changed your style at all. You've always kept that Mark Reale guitar sound in Mike's playing and Nick's, haven't you? You've always had that distinct feeling of Mark being in the background, his spirit.
He's always there. When I wrote this, I had him in mind. He taught me a lot. He said, tell me, Don, look, playing a million riffs is great, but, you have to write a song with melody. You have to have a song with it. Like there's a song written, but the vocals have to be a song. The guitar solos have to be a song within it. You want people to sing it, shout, and sing along. When we were writing the early stuff, when I wrote Flight of the Warrior, it was like, and he was like, you got to go shining into the night you are. And then we were like, wow, that is just that's the style. That's why, even the fastest stuff has a melody line. So I've taken that with me. He's taught me a lot. He was my mentor. He said, create a song. And that's what we did, even on Immortal Soul. After I rejoined and we got the Thundersteel back, Mark was there writing stuff before he passed away. And, we wrote together once again. And then, of course, the untimely passing of him when we decided to continue, which took a lot of time because, Mike Flint's, was about to throw in the towel. And I said, well, yeah, the legacy, we have been in the band a long time, but, it was a tough thing. But still under contract with the label, even though, they said, are you going to put out another record? I said, well, do you want us to try it as Riot? So everything was like, let's try. So I had been writing demos. I write all my songs I write for Riot. I send to the guys, totally done. I do the drum machine, bass. Like I said, I play guitar. I do the dual leads. I do leads. I sent everything to them, And so at that time, we were going to continue on. And Bobby couldn't do it because he was playing with all those bands I was telling you. He said, it's going to take me 6 months to record. I said, can't wait that long. Tony Moore was like, yeah, the Mark thing kind of got him. And he was getting older. The voice, the chops weren't the same. So we ended up looking for people. And I found Todd Michael Hall from a friend of mine, Bart Gabriel in Germany. And so I listened to him, listened to some videos, excellent singer, sing on my demo. Let's see if there's Riot can continue. So I put him on a couple songs from Unleash the Fire, and I sent him to the label, and they were floored. They were like, this sounds like you're continuing on. It sounds great. And I said, thanks. So I told Mike, the label loves it, headed in the right direction. Let's put out a record. Let's play some shows and see the vibe of the crowd. If the crowd doesn't like it and they don't want to see us, then we know it's like, it's done. But everything was great. We wrote music, put it out, had it produced. And then, of course, we talked to the family because we were very close. Like I said, I lived with Mark. He was an only child and his mom passed away. So the only one alive now is Tony, his dad, who Mike was taking care of and talking to and taking him to the hospital appointments. It went like family. So he said, continue on. And my son's honor, don't bury the music with him. Play the music so his memory lives on. And we were like, that sounds great. We'll do it in a respectful manner. And I said, since we have this style going back to my era of Thundersteel, we'll move forward in that era. We're not the early rock. We're doing the original stuff that I did back in 1988, and we'll call it the fifth chapter. It's like 5. We have 5 singers, recorded singers. And so I said, Todd's the 5th singer. I said, so let me do a big Roman numeral V, even though people thought it was Riot V. It's like, no, it's Riot 5. It's the Roman symbol for 5 or whatever. So anyway, so we did that. And, it was one of them things where the album did great. We played a few festivals and the crowd loved it. So at that point we said, well, you know what? We have something here. Let's continue in the legacy's honor. And until, people don't want it, but we've been doing great. 3 records later, same lineup.
Yeah, you've got an absolutely fantastic lineup, very strong. You all work very well as a team.
Yep. We and it's funny, me and Mike joke around about it. This is the 3rd Riot chapter, 5, Riot 5, with the same lineup. That's never happened in Riot history. So we actually have 3 records with the same lineup. And then Riot never done that before. So it's great, but it's because the magic, when we hired a drummer, me and Mike started looking for people. I found Todd, from a friend, and then, Frankie Gilchrist from Virgin Steel, Liege Lord, and some other projects.
Holy Mother, I think he was in Holy Mother.
Yeah. And then he had recorded Army of One with Riot. So he's part of the family, one of the latter records. And so we were like, yeah, it's got to be like a Bobby Jerzambek, phenomenal drummer. And Frank is. And then we went to a guitar player, and Mike said, I got a young guy that at my guitar school. Mike has a guitar school, and the young guy, Nick Lee, he's a younger guy, but his intensity is great. And he's not so much one of those new kind of players. He's old school. He likes the old Marshall sound, Les Paul. He knows what Riot's looking for. We're not one of those thrash, whatever. So when we all got together and we heard everybody's playing on it, it was just, we knew we had a lineup. And when we heard Unleash the Fire, it sounded great. When we wrote Armor Alight, everybody put their 2 cents in and their skills. It sounded great. And then here we go on the latest record, Mean Streets. And I mean, we think it sounds great. So it's a brotherhood. We love each other, we're brothers.
I've got the artboard behind me, as you can see right now. I mean, it's a fantastic album. The production is absolutely fucking amazing. It's the best production you've ever done. I just wish that album production had the production for Thundersteel.
Yeah, well, what happened was, and God, man, we went through three producers. This is crazy. During the lockdown, the big old lockdown, we haven't released a record in like 6 years, but there was a lot of variables to that. The lockdown, for one, the COVID thing, we couldn't, travel that much. It wasn't like it was weird. So we were like, we saw bands putting records out during the lockdown. You couldn't go buy it. You had to order it. A lot of streaming. The band couldn't promote it because you couldn't go over to Europe without either, having a card or a shot. Italy was different. Spain was different. You're like, you can't do anything. So during that whole time, we said, we want to release the new record when the world is back to normalcy a little bit. It's not 100%, but it's better. But you can go see the band, you can go buy the record, everything's normal. So it took us a while. So we actually, during that time, we went through, me and Mike write a lot of songs. We'll write 20 songs and pick the best dozen. We'll pick the best 12. And doing this, we thought, I said, hey, coming back from this, long period, I'm thinking we should touch base on all the eras. Let's do Thundersteel, which is what we're representing. But I said, let's go back and, write a couple rockers for the fans from the early days. And, Mike writes his style of the DeMeo stuff, and I write Thundersteel stuff, but I wrote a couple rockers, I have two speed metal ones, and then I have Feel the Fire, which is like a Judas Priest, Led Zeppelin. I have Lean Into It, which is like Mary Ann from Privilege of Power, a commercial one. I just said, let's cover all the boundaries. Let's make a good, well-rounded Riot record. And so that's what we went for. And then after we got the producer, we had the same guy that did Armor of Light. Armor of Light was all power metal, and the guy mixed it like power metal. He's a great producer, but it was real sampled drums and a lot of stuff that some of these prog bands use. And we said, for this record, we need to sound like you were saying Thundersteel, or a bigger drum sound, and it's got to be in your face. It can't be real tight metal, So he did the whole record. We paid him, and then we went by the wayside. We had these other two guys that worked with Nick, and they started producing it, and it sounded great, but it was not what we wanted. Then we got Bruno back, and the label wanted that. The label goes, why can't you get Bruno Reale from Danger Danger? He's produced a few records for us. He did Immortal Soul, The Comeback, and, one of the Riot 5 ones. I contacted Bruno, and he said, man, I'm busy right now. He was doing this Defiance record and some Danger Danger reunion shows, and he came from Westworld with Tony Harnell and Mark. He's got some history with the band. So he finally said, give me a couple months, I'll do it. So he got us in there. He recorded he produced a couple songs and sent it to us and the label, and they were floored. They said, this production is amazing. They said, we got to stick with Bruno. So Bruno did the whole record. And Bruno's like, the sixth member of the band. He gives us ideas like, let's do harmonies here. Let's cut this part out. Let's do it this way, like a producer. And the finished product, it's great, And so we're happy, even though it's taken forever. We're back.
It's worth it, though, Donnie. It's worth it. The production's phenomenal. The songs are brilliant. I mean, I love the song "Love Beyond the Grave." That's a really cool song.
Yeah, that's a great one. Like I said, we tried to mix it up and place everything in order. And what Riot usually does is all right, like the heavy opener, so you get punched in the face right off the bat. Like
that's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah. You want Hell to the Warriors. And I wrote that, and I wrote the lyrics and all. I usually write all the lyrics to my songs. And I said, Hell to the Warriors, man. Hell, we call them warriors. You're a warrior. So I wrote that, and it's heavy. And then right after that, I said, let's go into the rock song, and we did Feel the Fire. And so that changes. And then the song we wrote, Love Beyond the Grave, it's like has that guitar intro thing, but then it goes into that hard loving man kind of vibe. And that totally came out great. And we all chipped in on that one. Frankie wrote some lyrics, some of the lyrics on this one, an arrangement. Todd wrote the lyrics. He does for all of Mike's songs. Mike's not a lyricist. And the chorus. I actually came up with the chorus because they had something different. And I said, let's do a chant like we always do. Fight or fall. So I said, love from beyond the grave. And they loved it. So the whole team effort, it's a beautiful song. So, then we did that. Then we go into High Noon, which is a little bit to get up and go. I wrote that for Mark because it sounds like something I would write on Thundersteel or Privilege of Power. But the lyrics I wrote had Mark in mind. He loved the Old West cowboy movies, He wrote Outlaw, Gunfighter, Restless Breed. They were all Western. So I said, you know what, I'm going to write Western lyrics for this with that old style. And I had Mark in mind. So there you have it. And then we just tried to go back and forth to intertwine, because me and Mike have a different kind of writing. He writes from his thing, I write from mine. So we intertwine them. You have a good variety of music. It goes into Higher, all that kind of stuff. Open Road. And Frankie wrote the lyrics to Open Road. Frank has been writing lyrics on this one. So it's kind of cool. But the whole team effort, makes it, good. I think everybody puts their 2 cents in, and I think the final outcome is really good. Yeah, and we're getting great responses.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 when I get a chance to review it. But how long did it take to record it, Donnie?
Well, when we were on that break, besides recording it, the changing the producers took a while. So each time we changed, but the whole actual record was recorded during the lockdown. We had a little bit of time. We weren't rushing ourselves because we had a deadline with a label, but we said, we don't want to release it. They wanted to release it like, a couple of years after Armor Alight, but the world was still freaking out. So we said, no, we want to wait. So we took our time, and we started recording it, a few years. And finally, after we picked the best dozen, like I said, we record a lot of songs and we want to pick the best one. So we always have leftovers and stuff. So we took our time. And then, after the producer was back and forth, we'd add stuff here and there, add a guitar part, add a vocal part. You always decorate the song, even though it's completely finished. So we took our time. And then obviously we changed labels. That was another thing during the lockdown and coming back with this record. Nuclear Blast, they made an offshoot label. Some of the people that were working with us, Marcus and Flory and all their team, they said, hey, we're making another label.
Atonic Fire.
Yeah, the owner, Marcus, said, hey, we're moving over. We're going to make Atonic Fire. And then I was like, well, we're contracted with Nuclear Blast. And they said, well, we're still friends with them. And if you want to leave, they're not going to hold you accountable. You can leave. It's all a friendly thing. And so we decided to make the move because that was our whole A&R team. Like Marcus was a fan. He signed us. Flory, they all knew us and knew how to work Riot. So we got to go to our team. So we went over to Atonic Fire, and that took a little bit of negotiating. And finally, we got with them, and now they teamed up with the great, Reigning Phoenix. It's another distributor. They signed Kerry King. They just signed Halloween. So they're building a record label. So hopefully we can go out with Halloween this year.
Okay. So you
make it happen, Burger.
Older brother. So Mean Streets. What did you decide to call the album Mean Streets? Did you have any other titles?
Yeah, well, what we do is, like I said, we always try to open up with that, that pounding one. So we were going to call the album Hell to the Warriors, as, to our fans, our warriors. But the label, and we started thinking about, we said Hell to the Warriors sounds a little too like Manowar, one of those bands,
Yeah.
and we're not one of those bands, so it needs to be more heavy power metal rock. So I said, well, what about Mean Streets? Because when I wrote that song, I also wrote the lyrics, and it was about Riot's upbringing in the mean streets of New York City. That's why it says, hanging out at the Cat Club, playing L'Amour's, I have all these lyrics, and that's what we did. We played, we were on the streets, we hung out, we ate pizza, we recorded there and all that stuff. We lived there in the city. So I was like, that would be great. And we could do the whole theme of, Riot, starting off 1975 in Brooklyn, going to New York City, doing all that stuff, changing members, doing all that, and then use the word Johnny, because I'm always using Johnny in my songs, So I said, that whole combination sounds good. And they said, that's perfect. Give it to the artist. And he came up with our seals on motorcycles. So we have a seal gang now.
Who was the artist? Who was the artist? Because it's a brilliant album cover.
Yeah. This guy H. Jules, he goes by, but his name's Gyula Havensack. He's done a lot of big bands if you look him up. He's got a Gyula Havensack. Yeah, it's a long name, but he's done a lot for Nuclear Blast and now Atonic Fire. He's just phenomenal. We gave him the idea, and he said, well, I'll use your seal. I said, you got to have the seal on the cover. And he said, how about a biker gang of seals? And then he gave us, his, sketches of it, and we thought it was great. And he had a couple, and we said, no, you always got to do 5. It's like the band, 5 seals. And then when you open the album, it's 5 guys on the bikes, us. So we always got to do that like a gang. So it was a motorcycle gang. And we have the first seal babe. We have a girl holding onto the guy, with her boobs hanging out. So we're like, we finally got a babe. So he's got a girlfriend. So that's Johnny's girlfriend. So anyway, the cover matches the title, and it all worked out. The whole vibe of New York in the background and the biker thing, and you always have the connotations of one guy's holding a sword, one guy's holding tequila, the little things like that.
You're the tequila boy, if I remember rightly, in Germany. We were drinking it backstage, weren't we?
That's me, and we will.
So, I mean, what sort of reviews have you been getting so far? Have you heard anything? I know the album's not coming out till April.
It's been getting great reviews. They put out, they give like the press and you guys like the whole record, but just to the public, they did the High Noon lyric video, and then they did the full video of Feel the Fire. So those, I mean, right off the bat, High Noon, everybody was loving it. We were going to put out the video, the real video, Feel the Fire first, and we thought maybe not freak them out, changing the style so much. Let's give them a Riot song, and then we'll answer it back. And the reviews have been going great. High Noon got a lot of good reviews, and we were worried that the lyric video will get the most because the second one's always second. But when we put out Feel the Fire, in like 2 weeks, it had 500,000 views, and we were just like, wow, and most of we've never had that on a song, you know what I mean? So we were happy with that. It's finally a real video. We didn't do a green screen. We all flew to New York. We shot that in New Jersey with Tom Flynn, who does Lamb of God, Buck Cherry. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff, and it was a real video. We had a model, Olivia Walsh. She was Miss Pennsylvania, and we did it old school, and did that. So people seem to like it. You get people here and there, Riot's career, you're going to get flack here and there, like, it's not the early days, or blah, 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 there's so much stuff like that. But most people think it sounds good. People go like, it sounds too much like Judas Priest. It's like, I'm influenced by Judas Priest.
Me too. I mean? Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I'm going like, hey, when they came out with Ram It Down, Harder Than Steel ripped off Black Leather and Glittering Steel.
I mean, you should do a video to Love Beyond the Grave. That would be a great video.
We did. We recorded 2.5 songs with Tom Flynn. We did full versions of Feel the Fire, and then he also did Mean Streets, which will be released on the day the record comes out. That's a full video. We shot that in New York City, and it's great. We have the SEAL character, Johnny. He's in the video. We have an actor with a SEAL on, and he's hanging out with us in a bar, and we're walking in the streets. It's pretty funny. But did
you have Johnny at Headbangers Open Air? Did he not? If I remember right, did he come on stage that night?
Yeah, he came on stage.
I thought he did.
We have these masks. When we went to Japan, the Japanese fans are crazy about us. We're like Judas Priest over there. So they made all these masks. So we said, we'll use them like Eddie the Head. So we had people run out on stage with them. So I keep them. And, if I find some fans, hey, put it on and run out there, or if we have a drum tech, I say, put this mask on and run out there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what we would do. So we had the mask, we put it on an actor, and he's walking around with us. He's drinking in a bar. So that'll be out. And then we had a little time left. And Mike goes, how about do one of my songs, Love Beyond the Grave? And I said, that's a great idea. And so we asked Tom, do we have any time left? And he said, I could shoot a few scenes. So he shot some really cool, like darkish, shadowy stuff. And we have the footage. And so what we're going to do is the label is making 2 lyric videos. And we have 2 real videos. But what's going to happen is this Love Beyond the Grave lyric video is going to feature like real footage with some lyrics, but real footage of us. So that's going to be the one that comes after. There's Mean Streets is going to come out with the album. And then after that, Love Beyond the Grave. So
wow. So you're going to be touring in May, as we all know. How long is it going to last? Have you got any UK shows in date for it?
Yeah, well, this is the first thing we started. We changed agents at Dragon. We got Bart Gabriel, and he booked this. It starts off in Warsaw, Poland. We'll be gone for like, probably 2.5 weeks. It's not a lot, it's like a dozen dates, but we're going to go there and play in some markets we haven't played. And we just like to get out there. The record comes out on the 12th, 2 weeks later. We're going to go there and start playing music from it. And so we're already putting the set list together. And so we're looking forward to this, but they're booking more. We're just got confirmed for Sweden Rock. We're playing Japan in July. We have festivals. We got South America in September. There was talk about us hooking up with Accept towards the end of the year. A lot of little options here and there. So once the record comes out, we'll do dates on our own, and then we might try to hop aboard, a tour.
Maybe do the Anvil tour.
Yeah, no, do something. There's talk about it. So I don't know. We have to see. But we're ready. So we're going to be busy.
Right then, Donnie, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Well, I would like to say, thank you for being with us so long, because, the whole Riot thing is a passion and a family. We don't make a lot of money. It's not a cash cow like people think. We're not riding on the brand. We all have regular gigs, and we do this for, the passion for Mark and the family and for you guys. So if it wasn't for, you guys accepting us, getting our records, come seeing us, we wouldn't be doing it anymore. And that's why we do it, because of you guys. And just want to say thank you for you, and your continued support of the band and the legacies traveling. It'll be 50 years next year, 1975, and we're going to think of something to do special. 50 years, Riot, next year. And
That's
people
cool.
like you. And people like you, Jason.
Thank you, Ryan. I've been doing this for 36 years.
And people like you on podcasts and interviews, that helps us. That helps the cause and putting the word out. So, thank you to you and, people that continue and support the band. We really love it, man. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, hopefully if I get the job to tour with you. For golf. Yeah. So anyway, Donnie, have a lovely day. Keep in touch, man.
Thank you very much.
Please share this.
Okay.
Please share this on your social media sites. And cheers, brother. Thank you very much, Donnie. I'll be in touch, my friend. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, be in touch, Burgers, all right?
Yeah, cheers, brother. Take care. Say out to the guys for me. Cheers.
Shine on. I
you
will.
too, brother. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.